I can still recall the precise moment I made the decision to vanish. There was no dramatic outburst, no yelling, no shattered plates. Just silence and eerie, overwhelming silence. I was standing alone in our kitchen, staring blankly at the polished marble countertop, the scent of her perfume still faintly hanging in the air. And in that stillness, it hit me. I couldn't stay any longer. I walked out the door, locked it behind me like it was any ordinary day. But it wasn't. That day marked the end of everything I had known. Emily and I had been together for 8 years as husband and wife. To those around us, we were the picture of a perfect relationship. But the truth? Things had been falling apart for months. The late nights she claimed were work-related. The way she held onto her phone like it was her lifeline. The way her touch had shifted from loving to mechanical like I was simply another item on her to-do list. I should have confronted her. Should have forced the truth out before it crashed down on me. But I didn't. I let my doubts fester, allowed suspicion to take root and grow unchecked. Then one night, everything came to light. A single message popped up on her screen while she was in the shower. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was unforgettable." My stomach dropped. The room spun. My hands trembled as I grabbed her phone, going through months of messages, each one cutting deeper than the last. Then came the final blow, a photo. Not just any image, but one of her in our bed with another man. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream or wake her. I just shut down. Something inside me turned off. By the time dawn broke, I had made my decision. I emptied our shared bank accounts, not as revenge, but because I refused to let her use my money to fund her betrayal. I disconnected my phone, packed only the essentials, and disappeared. When Emily returned home that evening, she found an empty house. Every piece of furniture gone, every closet cleared. The only thing left was an envelope on the counter containing a printout of that damning message. And just like that, I was gone. Weeks passed before she managed to locate me. I hadn't expected her to track me down so quickly. I thought I had covered every base, new accounts, a prepaid phone, cutting off all mutual friends. I left nothing behind that could lead her to me. I had settled in a modest rental on the edge of a small town where I was a stranger. The place was sparse, just a mattress on the floor, a few kitchen basics, and my laptop. I wasn't really living, just drifting in a state of limbo, caught between my old life and whatever came next. I told myself I needed space to think, to figure out who I was now. But deep down, I knew the truth I was hiding. One late afternoon, a knock echoed through the house. I froze. No one was supposed to know I was there. I ignored it, hoping whoever it was would leave. But then came another knock, louder this time, and a voice I recognized instantly. "Are you seriously doing this to me?" My chest tightened. Despite everything, hearing her voice stirred something in me. I stayed still, hoping she'd leave. But then her tone cracked, and she pleaded, "Please." I don't know what drove me to open that door, curiosity, weakness, or maybe a lingering need to see her one final time. But I did. Emily stood there, looking like a shadow of her former self. Her hair, usually flawless, was tangled. Dark circles framed her tired eyes, and her face was filled with a desperation I hadn't seen before. For a fleeting second, I almost pitied her. But then I remembered why I had left. She exhaled as she saw me, eyes wide like she couldn't believe I was standing in front of her. "You actually did it," she whispered. "You really left." I leaned on the doorframe, keeping my face unreadable. "What did you expect?" I asked calmly. Her mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came out. Her eyes drifted past me, settling on the bare mattress inside. She gave a hollow, nervous laugh. "So this is where you've been?" I didn't respond. She swallowed hard, trying to steady herself. "You didn't have to go this far." I tilted my head slightly, eyes locked on hers. "Didn't have to do what? Walk away? Or make sure you understood what it felt like?" Her expression shifted, and for the first time I saw a look I hadn't expected, true regret. Not the kind that comes from being exposed, but the kind that lingers deep within and doesn't let go. "You drained our accounts," she murmured. I nodded. "I wasn't going to let you spend my money on him." Her breath caught. "I deserve that." A faint, bitter smile tugged at my lips. "Yeah, you did." She stood there for a moment, arms wrapped tightly around herself. "I know I have no right to ask this, but can we talk?" Every part of me wanted to say no, to close the door and never look back. But instead, I stepped aside. Because even after everything, I needed answers too. And as Emily stepped inside, a wave of unease settled over me. The sight of her in that cramped, unfamiliar space felt completely out of place. She no longer fit in this world of mine. This was no longer her domain. The woman who once controlled the rhythm of my daily life, who used to fill every inch of our shared home with her unmistakable presence, now stood before me like a stranger, awkward and out of sync with her surroundings. Her eyes slowly scanned the room, taking in the plain walls and minimal furniture. If she had imagined I was living in comfort or excess, she was clearly mistaken. This wasn't a retreat, it was bare survival. You really left everything, she murmured, her fingers lightly brushing the edge of the only chair in the room. I remained seated on the thin mattress, arms folded tightly across my chest. Everything except my self-respect. Her face flinched as if I had slapped her, but I didn't flinch in return. I wasn't here to ease her guilt or make this confrontation any softer. She needed to feel it, the full weight of her choices. She let out a sigh, her fingers pressing into her temples like she was trying to coax the right words from her mind. I know I can't fix this. And I know I don't deserve forgiveness, she began, her voice quieter now. But I need you to hear me out. I raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. You had months, Emily. Months to be honest. Instead, you chose to keep lying, to keep sneaking around. So why now? Why should I believe a single word? Her hands twitched nervously by her sides as she replied, because I made a mistake. A dry, humorless laugh escaped my lips. A mistake. I leaned in slightly, my voice calm but unwavering. Forgetting a birthday is a mistake. Saying something harsh in a heated moment is a mistake. What you did, that was a deliberate decision. One you made not just once, but again and again. And you didn't stop until I caught you. Her eyes filled with tears, and for a brief moment I caught a flicker of something in her gaze. Remorse? Guilt? Or perhaps just embarrassment, realizing her fantasy world had crumbled and now she stood exposed and vulnerable. She swallowed hard. I thought you didn't love me anymore. That statement hit me like a slap. My eyes widened in disbelief. So you assumed I didn't love you and your solution was to go find someone else? That's your explanation. Emily shifted her weight uncomfortably, glancing down. It's not an excuse. It's just how it felt. You were distant. You stopped looking at me the way you used to. I clenched my jaw tightly. Did it ever occur to you to talk to me? To actually express how you felt? She opened her mouth like she might respond, but then closed it again, shaking her head slowly. I don't know. I guess I was afraid. A frustrated breath left me as I ran a hand down my face. Afraid of what? That I might actually try to fix things? That we'd confront the truth rather than you escaping into someone else's arms? She didn't reply. Her silence said more than any words could. I stood up, pacing back and forth as my chest tightened. You want to know what hurts the most? I believed in us. Even when things felt strained, I convinced myself it was just a rough patch. I had faith we'd make it through. Not once did I imagine you'd. My voice trailed off, and I shook my head in disbelief. I was such a fool. Cautiously, she stepped forward, her voice nearly a whisper. You weren't the fool. I was. I destroyed everything. And now, I'm left with nothing. I let out a bitter chuckle. Well, welcome to the club. She crossed her arms over her chest, making herself look smaller, more fragile than I'd ever seen her. Gone was the composed, polished woman who used to command attention. In her place stood someone who looked like she'd just realized she was standing at the edge of a cliff with nowhere left to go. I don't expect you to take me back, she continued. I don't even expect you to talk to me again. But I had to see you. I needed to say I'm sorry. And I miss you. I stared at her for what felt like an eternity, searching for some kind of emotion, anger, sorrow, nostalgia. But all I could feel was an overwhelming sense of weariness. Emily, I finally said, my voice steady, you don't miss me. What you're longing for is the stability I gave you. The security. The knowledge that I would never do to you what you did to me. She didn't argue. That silence spoke volumes. And as much as I wanted to slam the door shut on this part of my life, I couldn't yet. Not before I had all the answers. Because something about her story still didn't sit right with me. There were pieces missing. And I was determined to uncover every last one. The atmosphere between us turned heavy, nearly suffocating. Emily stood frozen, her eyes wide with a kind of desperation I'd never seen before. She had always been in control, always put together. But right now, she looked like someone who had finally realized just how far they'd fallen, too late to stop the descent. I should have told her to go. I should have turned my back and let her walk away forever. But the way she paused, the nervous way she clutched at her sweater like she was holding something back, made me stop. You're still hiding something, I said, arms folded tight. Her eyes flickered with emotion, maybe guilt, maybe fear, I couldn't tell which. She looked away, her hands tightening their grip on the hem of her sweater like it was her last lifeline. I didn't come here to lie, she whispered. Then don't, I replied sharply. You went through the trouble of finding me. You said you wanted to talk. So talk. Why now? Why, after all the silence, did you suddenly decide to show up? She hesitated, lips pressed into a tight line. It was like she was battling herself internally, weighing just how much she was willing to reveal. And then, just when I was certain she would avoid the question altogether, she let out a deep breath and locked eyes with me. Because he left me, she admitted, her voice flat. I blinked, caught off guard by the directness. What? She gave a bitter, joyless laugh, shaking her head slowly. The man I was seeing, the one I betrayed you with, he ended it. Told me it was never meant to be serious, that I had imagined something that wasn't there. Then he blocked me, completely disappeared, like I never meant anything. I stared at her, expecting to feel that familiar surge of anger, but instead, I was met with an odd sense of emptiness. A dry, twisted humor curled in my chest. So let me get this straight, I said, slowly, deliberately. You destroyed our marriage. You broke my trust and humiliated me. And now, because your little fantasy didn't pan out, you're standing here, looking for what, exactly? Sympathy? Emily recoiled as if I had struck her. No, that's not, she paused, exhaling through her nose. I didn't know where else to go. A sharp, humorless laugh escaped me. That's unbelievable. You had a home, a loyal husband who would have done anything for you. And you threw it all away. Now that your plan B blew up, I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. She stepped forward, her eyes pleading. I know I don't deserve your help. I get that. But this isn't just about him walking out on me. It's something more. Something's changed. I narrowed my gaze. Changed how? Her hesitation made me pause. And for the first time since she came through the door, I noticed something different, real fear in her eyes. Someone's been following me, she whispered. A chill crept down my spine. What do you mean? Her eyes darted toward the window, scanning the darkness. I don't know who it is. But since he left, I feel like I'm being watched. I keep seeing the same car parked outside my place. The phone rings, but no one talks, just silence. And a few days ago, I came home to find my front door unlocked. Nothing was taken, but... She trailed off, hugging her arms around herself. I just don't feel safe. I looked at her, trying to piece everything together. Part of me wanted to dismiss it as another lie, another attempt to pull me back into her drama. But there was another part of me, one I didn't want to acknowledge, that felt something else entirely. Worry. No matter what she had done, I didn't want her to be in danger. You think this has something to do with the guy? I asked. She nodded slowly. I'm not sure. But I think it might. He wasn't who I thought he was. And now I'm scared I got involved with someone dangerous. More dangerous than I ever imagined. A heavy feeling settled in my chest. This was no longer just about betrayal or a failed relationship. Something more serious was unfolding. And whether I wanted to or not, I was about to find out exactly what Emily had gotten into. Her words lingered in the air, thick and loaded. I studied her face, trying to determine if this was real fear or just another performance. She looked shaken. But then again, she had deceived me before. I dragged a hand through my hair and sighed. Let me make sure I've got this right. You cheated, left, got dumped, and now someone might be stalking you. And what am I supposed to do with that? She flinched again, but I wasn't about to let her off easy. I had spent too long trying to remove her from my world, and now she was dragging me back in because she had no one else. Emily glanced down, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know. I had nowhere else to go. I thought maybe, she stopped herself, her voice catching in her throat. I let out a dry scoff. You thought maybe I'd come rushing to your rescue? That I'd forget everything you did just because now you're the one who needs help? Her eyes locked onto mine, filled with a mix of guilt and desperation. No, that's not it, she said, her voice trembling. I know I messed everything up. I know I don't deserve a thing from you. But I'm scared, and I didn't know who else to turn to. Part of me wanted to tell her this wasn't my problem. That whatever mess she was caught up in, she had to deal with it alone. But the way her eyes kept darting toward the window, the nervous fidgeting of her fingers, it made my gut twist with unease. I exhaled, my voice heavy. Tell me everything. She nodded faintly and eased down onto the edge of the bed. Her hands twisted in her lap as she took a deep, shaky breath. It started about a week after you moved out. At first, it was just a feeling like I was being watched. Then it was the front door, unlocked when I knew I'd locked it. The phone calls came next, no number, no voice, just silence and breathing. Her throat worked hard as she swallowed. And then there was the note. My brows pulled together. What note? She reached into her purse with trembling hands and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. She handed it to me carefully, and I unfolded it, my heart thudding in my chest. The message, scrawled in jagged letters, read, You made a mistake. Now you pay. A wave of cold dread passed over me. I looked up at her. Who do you think sent this? She bit down on her lower lip, her head shaking slowly. I can't say for sure, but I have this feeling it's connected to him. The guy you cheated with? I asked, my voice tight with emotion. She gave a reluctant nod. After he disappeared, I started digging for answers. He claimed he was single, but now I'm not so sure. I think he was involved with someone else and not the kind of person you'd want to cross. I tightened my jaw, my fists clenched. So now that he's out of the picture, whoever he was involved with is targeting you? Emily's shoulders trembled. I honestly don't know. Maybe. I don't feel safe anymore. I kept staring at the ominous note, my thoughts racing in every direction. Every instinct told me to walk away. This wasn't my battle. She'd made her decisions and now she was facing the consequences. Still, something didn't add up. If this was just fallout from an affair, why did it feel like something deeper? Exhaling slowly, I folded the note and handed it back to her. Where are you staying right now? She paused before replying. At a motel. But I keep seeing the same car parked outside. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but... I raised a hand to stop her. All right, here's the plan. For tonight, you're staying here. Her eyes widened in shock. Wait, what? Rubbing my temples, I let out a tired sigh. Just for tonight. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not offering forgiveness and I'm still not sure I believe everything you're saying. But if there's truth to your story, you're not safe on your own. We'll sort through this and then you're on your own again. She swallowed hard and gave a small nod. Okay. Standing up, I grabbed my keys. I'm heading out to pick up a few things. Lock the door behind me and don't open it for anyone. She nodded silently and I stepped out into the evening air, my mind still spinning from everything I just heard. I should have left her to face the consequences alone. But deep down, something told me this wasn't just about her choices anymore. And I needed to uncover the truth. Emily sat across from me, her hands nervously twisting together, a habit I hadn't seen in years. The room suddenly felt too small, as if the weight of everything unspoken between us was pressing against the walls. The reality began to sink in. She wasn't just here looking for a second chance or to repair what had long since been broken. She was genuinely afraid. And whether I wanted to admit it or not, part of me still cared enough to listen. I let out a breath. No more secrets. Start from the beginning. Tell me everything. She nodded slowly, swallowing before she spoke. I met him through work. At first, it was just light conversations, harmless laughs, talking about our day. I thought I was just enjoying the attention. But things changed. He knew exactly what to say, how to make me feel like I mattered. Like I was someone new. Her gaze dropped to the floor. I know that doesn't make what I did right. I leaned back, arms crossed. No, it doesn't. But we're not here to talk about that now. You mentioned things got complicated after he vanished. What happened? She rubbed her temples, clearly overwhelmed. After you left, I tried to find him. At first, I just wanted answers. But the more I searched, the less sense it made. He claimed to work in finance, but no one I talked to knew anything about him. No job history, no social media presence, it was like he never existed. A chill worked its way up my spine. That didn't raise red flags for you? It did, she said quietly. That's when I started digging deeper. And that's when things got strange. My eyes narrowed. Strange how? She hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a wrinkled slip of paper. I got this 2 days ago. I took the note and unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was sharp, rushed. The message couldn't have been clearer. Let it go. My stomach dropped. Where did you find this? It was slid under my motel door, she said with a shiver. At first, I thought I was overreacting. But then I noticed other things, the same car parked nearby every night, my door unlocked even though I remembered locking it, and silent phone calls from blocked numbers. I rubbed my jaw, piecing it all together. And you came to me because... She met my eyes, desperation clear in her expression. Because I don't know who else I can trust. I wanted to remind her she had shattered my trust long ago. That she had no business showing up here after everything. But instead, I took a deep breath and forced my mind into problem-solving mode. All right, I said eventually. Here's what we're going to do. Outside, the sticky air clung to me as I paced the living room, thoughts spiraling. Emily sat on the edge of the mattress, visibly worn out and nervous. This was no longer about a failed relationship. It was about finding out what mess she had stepped into and how to get her out of it safely. We need to approach this with a clear head, I said at last. If someone's keeping tabs on you, we can't act recklessly. We need to think smart. She nodded faintly. What do you think we should do? I sat down across from her, linking my fingers. First things first, you have to stop staying at that motel. If they know where to find you, then you're vulnerable. Her brow furrowed. But where else can I go? I paused for a moment before answering. You can stay here. Just for now, until we can figure things out, I said. Her eyes widened in surprise, lips parting slightly. You're actually letting me stay? With a tired sigh, I ran my hand over my face. Don't read too much into this. It's not about us, it's about making sure you're safe long enough to handle whatever this is. She gave a small, uncertain nod, her voice soft. All right, thank you. Leaning back, I exhaled deeply before continuing. Second thing, we need everything you can remember about him. Every detail. Conversations, places he took you, things he said that seemed off. If he was hiding something, we need to uncover it. Emily took a moment before inhaling sharply. I'll try. But I'm not sure how much I can recall. You need to push harder, I told her with a firmer tone. Because whoever left that note clearly doesn't want you looking into this. Which means, like it or not, you were getting close to something important. Her face turned pale as the weight of my words settled over her, but she gave a determined nod. For the next 60 minutes, we combed through every memory she could summon. We talked about places they visited, names he mentioned in passing, and even seemingly insignificant comments or gestures. I wrote it all down, feeling like I was assembling the pieces of a puzzle without the picture on the box. Something about it all was just out of reach, but I was sure there was a pattern. Once we wrapped up, I leaned back and looked at the scribbled notes. There was something here, I could feel it, I just couldn't see it yet. Emily let out a trembling breath. So, what do we do now? My thoughts were already jumping ahead, forming the next move. Now, I said steadily, we figure out how this ends. The following morning, I made the decision. No secretive contacts, no back alley favors, I reached out to the authorities. From the far side of the room, Emily watched nervously, biting her lip while I explained everything over the phone, the notes, the open doors, and the truth about the man she had unwittingly gotten involved with. The officer on the line was calm, asked a few questions, and then requested we bring Emily in to file an official report. She hesitated when I told her. Are you sure this is what we should do? I held her gaze for a long moment. It's not just the right move, it's the only move. You can't keep running. Slowly, she nodded, and something in her face changed. For the first time since she arrived on my doorstep, I saw it relief. Maybe she finally understood she wasn't in this alone anymore. We drove to the police station without speaking. Emily filed the report, handed over every note, and detailed everything she could remember. The officers didn't brush it off, they listened, asked questions, and promised to investigate. When we walked out of the building, Emily looked different, lighter, somehow. Like she'd finally stopped carrying the burden of her past mistakes alone. Outside, she turned toward me. I don't even know how to begin thanking you. I gave a weary chuckle. Just don't repeat the same mistakes, all right? She nodded, eyes misty. I won't. I glanced toward the street as sunlight started to break through the heavy clouds. For the first time in what felt like forever, I sensed a new beginning ahead. Something honest, something better. Emily had her journey now, and I had mine. I looked at her one final time, offering a small nod. Take care of yourself, Emily. And with that, I turned away, walking forward into the future. Finally ready to begin a new chapter. For real this time.